Hello Mende, everyone, oh hi. I'm so happy to welcome you back in 2024. At the end of 2023 was unexpectedly challenging, but I'm happy to welcome the new energy of the year and of course welcome back the second season of Diversity Podcast. Today I have a very beautiful guest. Her name is Nicole and she is Samoan. Samoa is a Polynesian island located in Oceania. Nicole was born in New Zealand actually, and as a baby moved to Samoa, where she lived up until age of 11 years old, and then she moved back to New Zealand. And currently she actually lives in the UK. So today we will learn more about her experiences, her culture, and her identity. Whilst some of you already maybe know something about Samoa or Samoan culture, for me personally it's all new and I have never really talked deeply to anyone who is of indigenous origin from Polynesia. Also, the population of Samoa, as Google says, is around 218,000 people, which is slightly higher than the population of Kalmyks living in Russia. Just so you know, so approximately the same, you have the same possibility of meeting our people. So I'm really excited about today's episode as I don't meet Polynesian people daily. Welcome, Nicole. Hi. Thanks for taking time and making this interview with me today. I'm really happy to finally meet you face to face and learn more about you.
Yeah, Alofa. Thank you very much for having me. It's very nice to be here and to just share more about my culture. So yeah, I'm excited as well.
Nice. Did you say something? Did you say your own word?
Yeah. Hello.
How does it sound?
Alofa.
Alofa.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think you can hear it. So, okay, I have already briefly introduced you, but do you mind sharing a little bit more with us and starting from telling us where exactly you were raised in Samoa and what are the main 4 Samoan Islands, how they called?
So I was born in New Zealand, and then when I was really young, my family migrated back to Samoa. We moved back to Samoa, which is where we lived in Apia, which is the capital on the island Upolu. And as you said, I lived there up until the age of 11. So Samoa is made up of, I think, roughly 9 islands, but there are 4 main islands, and these are Upolu, Savaii, which is the biggest, Manono and Apolima, which are quite small. Yeah.
You are from the first one, yeah?
Yeah.
How is it called again?
Upolu.
Upolu.
Yeah.
And the capital is?
Apia.
Apia.
Yes.
Does it have particular meaning, Upolu? Or translation? Or just a name?
I ask
random questions.
No, they're really good questions. I think there are names, but I don't know the origin stories of the name because... Yeah, in Samoan culture, everything almost comes from something like this.
Yeah, because when I googled, it's like every word has a meaning.
Yeah,
something like this. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Good to know. Nice. Also, I think a lot of people would find difficulties pronouncing. Would you say Samoan language, the way you pronounce things, it has some particular style to it, or it doesn't, or it just literally like English?
Yeah,
if you say something in
Samoan. There's different pronunciation.
Yeah.
If you take the vowels, for example, it's the phonetics, A-E-I-O-U. That's in the English language, whereas in Samoan, it's A-E-I-O-U. So pronunciation is slightly different.
How would you say, hi, I'm Nicole, and I'm happy?
Alofa, o lauingoa o Nicole. O te whiawhia.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I can hear it. Okay, great. So, are there many Samoans living in New Zealand as well?
Yes, so there's actually more Samoans in New Zealand or outside of Samoa than there are in Samoa. So you mentioned that the population of Samoa is just over 200,000. I think there's like over 1 million Samoans outside of Samoa. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that. Could you also please tell us a little bit more about your ancestry and ethnic makeup of the country? When I say of the country, I'm talking about Samoa. But we can go obviously step by step. When I say ancestry, also I mean like your grandparents, their origin. Like, are you all Samoan or there is like mixtures and stuff like that?
So my family are all Samoan. I think there are some stories there where like my surname is not Samoan. It's not a traditional Samoan surname. It's I'm not too sure where it comes from because my family originally thought it was German, and then I think another uncle did some digging and it's possibly Portuguese. So there were a lot of...
Yeah, because your surname sounds European, right?
Yeah. And then there's a lot of... because Samoa was occupied by Germany, America, and Britain at one time. So there's a lot of mixtures of like ethnicities at that time, and also because of the proximity to other Pacific islands, there's also like a mix. So like my mother's family, I think there might be some Fijian or Cook Island blood there, but
which one?
Cook Island, like the Rarotonga.
A Cook Island. That's it's like ethnicity.
Yeah, it's another
right.
Polynesian, another island set of islands in the Polynesia.
Are they more similar to Fijian?
They're more similar
to you guys?
they're more Polynesian than Melanesian, so similar to us. So we're not sure, but all I know is like I'm Samoan. Like, I'm just like I'm Samoan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, would you say majority of Samoan, like Samoa country, 4 islands, the main. So majority of people who live there are the indigenous, or like 50-50 white people live there.
So I'd say majority are indigenous. But there are a lot of mixtures as well because we've had Chinese over. So there's Chinese Samoan, German Samoan, Italian Samoan.
Okay. Yeah. So my next question actually, I guess, pretty simple about language. We already mentioned something. In your language, it's the first language, right?
Yes.
Or is it in English?
So the national language of Samoa is Samoan. Yeah.
Would you say, because you obviously have Polynesian friends here and there, would you say you find your languages, for example, Tonga, are the same, similar, or they're like completely different languages?
So
from Tonga or someone from Fiji, are your guys' languages from the same branch family, or are they completely different?
Some islands are the same. So like Tonga, there's some similarities. Like if someone was speaking in Tongan, I wouldn't know exactly what they're saying, but there's some words that I can pick up on. So our neighboring islands, yes, there's some similarities, but with Fijian, say, it's not, there are no similarities between our languages. Their languages, they have a different alphabet and different sounds.
Okay, understood. So, different. It depends on which island it is, yeah. And New Zealand is quite far from Samoa, right?
It's like a 3-hour flight, not that far.
Oh, okay, but do they have? What tribes are there apart from Maori, or mostly Maori?
So the indigenous people of New Zealand are the Maori, and there are some similarities in their language.
In your language,
yeah.
Would you understand if someone's speaking it?
I mean, I would understand because not fully, but I understand most of it because I grew up in New Zealand, and because I grew up around Māori culture. But there are some words that sound similar, and also just the way our people are, like some of our traditions or the values that the Māori people have are also similar to what Samoans have. I guess because we're all neighbours.
Would you say you felt like very home-like when you were living there? Would you say, like, because you were a child, right? You were like 11, after 11 years old. Would you say you felt that, okay, this is Maori people and they're like completely different and I'm different, or you felt like, okay, this is like brotherly nation or something like this?
Yeah, I felt at home because we're similar, and I think there's this like approach to life where we're not so serious, or like we're just a bit more laid back, so
like lighthearted.
Yeah. So I think there is that sense as well. Like we could all make fun of each other, or like we share things with each other. But also because there's a lot of migration from the islands, there's a lot of Samoans that moved to
Not
New
just
Zealand.
Currently, like it used to be
like,
back then as well. Yeah,
back then. So because there's already Samoans in New Zealand that are already established there, it was like I still felt a bit like I was in Samoa.
Home, yeah.
It was just that now everyone's speaking English. Not everyone is
I get it.
speaking Samoan and English. It's just English. So.
Makes sense. Yeah, I didn't know that it's a million. It's like five folds more than within the country. Yeah,
it's a lot more.
What is the population in New Zealand though? few millions, right?
I think the population of New Zealand now is 5 million.
All right.
Maybe 6 million.
1/5 is Samoan.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
That's you guys taking over.
No.
Okay, so talking about traditions and culture, I read online about something called Faʻa Sāmoa, or in English it says the Samoan way. It says that it is a traditional code of behavior and a backbone of Samoan society, and that you still practice it nowadays. And also another word called Aiga, importance of family. And it says it's very central in Samoan culture. Could you please share with us a little bit more about it, and whether you know if it still works the same way, or it's something that used to be a part of your culture back in the days and not now? Yeah, and maybe some examples of traditions and customs which represent that, if it's still a thing.
The Faʻa Sāmoa, or the Samoan way, is it was like a system that was created by the Samoan people when they first settled, or so Samoa was settled about 3,000 years ago, and then they created this system, which has different values. So one of the values you mentioned is Aiga, which is family, and that's not just your nuclear family, that's your extended family. So you kind of everyone looks after everyone. There's also Alofa, which is love, so that's love for everyone. Tautua, which is service, and that's service to others and helping, so everyone's very, again, community. There's also Fa'aloalo, is respect, and that is respect for others. And in our culture, or Samoan culture, respect for your elders is very important.
Mm-hmm.
There's Feagaiga, which is the covenant or your relationship with your siblings and other people. And then Usita, which is discipline. So it's like very...
Usita? Oh, that's
Usita,
interesting.
Yeah, which is very like, you have to be very quite disciplined.
What do you remember being taught about that? You've been taught about that something?
Like
discipline. Because like the others are like the way like family, elders are like discipline. It's like different.
It's
Or would you say just like something like inherited in families, like you all like you brought up in this way, or you have to like be disciplined and everything?
Yeah, you are brought up a certain way, and then there's a lot of discipline because there's a lot of expectation of like how you carry yourself, your commitment to your community. So like there's this sense of just like being obedient and just like listening to your elders. And really? Like, because even in school, like going to school in Samoa, like discipline was like a big thing as well. And it was like we all lined up before class a certain way. You all sat down, you had to fold your arms and sit up. You just grow up with like a sense of just like you just have to listen and like all be respectful. So it's kind of like all kind of linked up in a way. Like it's your way of, well, to me anyways, it's like your way of showing that you're being respectful or showing love or whatever. Yeah,
so the love, respect and discipline, like they all intertwined
like
together.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not like crazy discipline when parents just like, oh, you have to go to Oxford.
Sometimes.
Oh, it is?
Sometimes.
Okay, that happens too.
You know? I think that's in every household. Yeah.
What about the love thing? Is it Alofa it's called?
Alofa, yeah.
Alofa.
Love, yeah.
That even sounds like love, Alofa. Yeah. Does it like mean love to everything? Because you mentioned it, you said Alofa, love to everything, something like this.
Like love for everyone.
For everyone.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate? It's just, there's nothing to elaborate.
Yeah, it's love. No.
Is it like hippie, or just more, you have to like, be grateful and something like this? Yeah, because I've never heard about this concept. I read something about Maori, but I have not heard about someone these things.
Yeah, the concept of love is like, because like I said, it's like all kind of interwoven, right? So it's like when you think of the family and then you think of showing love, it's like extending yourself to help your family, like to show that you love and you care for them, and it's like being there to support them. And Tautua, which is service, and that's a way of you showing your love, is like through your service to your family. So we, like with the Faʻa Sāmoa way, we also have like family is the foundation of that, and through that everyone comes together to help each other. Like, you know, they're saying like it takes a village. Like, that's the village. Like, if they're short of something, like they don't have the money or they don't have food or they need help for a season, then the family steps in to help them out.
Immediate family. Or extended.
Immediate or extended. Like,
because from the way you talk, it sounds like the whole island is your family, right?
Yeah, that's
like
pretty
this.
much.
Yeah.
It feels like that sometimes.
How many people in your island?
On my island, I would say, I don't know all the figures exactly.
No, like roughly.
But like roughly, I would say maybe 60 to 70 of the whole population.
All right. Yeah. Well, everyone knows each other, right?
Yeah, everyone does know each other.
Are you probably all brothers and sisters? You shouldn't marry each other, no?
No, yeah. There's like a joke that they say, like, be careful when you date someone because
might be a sister.
Family. Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Yeah, that's common for islanders, I think. Interesting. Yeah, I really love that. The way you talk about it is also like very soothing, and yeah, it's interesting. I would definitely have to read more about it, but I feel that energy from you, you know, like I think I already told you when we were talking online that I feel this energy for you. Okay, since we mentioned village and like you're bringing childhood, is it correct to say village or it's town?
Village, yeah.
I can say village.
Village, yeah.
Okay, it's not offensive.
Not offensive.
Okay, yeah. You know, my town is roughly the same number, maybe slightly bigger than you, not very big, Elista. When we talked over the phone with you for the very first time, you mentioned about few traditions and customs, particularly you talked about, I think it's called Matai, yeah? Mm-hmm. You talked about the chief of a family or chief of a tribe, you will correct me if I'm wrong. And also you talked about gifting tradition, which is like you gifting a fine mud, which is called a tonga or siapa. You correct me again if I'm wrong. Could you please elaborate and tell us a little bit more about these traditions which you remember, maybe like the brightest examples or whatever? What it is, chief of a family, how is it passed down, if it's passed down, and about gifting tradition, because you mentioned that you even give gifts when there is when someone dies, right? Not just for the weddings and celebrations like this. Yeah.
Yeah. So a Matai is the chief, as you said, of a family. So, and then again, that's the extended family, not just your nuclear family. And there's different ranks. So there's the ali'i, which is the highest chief, and they look after the country or the village or the wider family. And then you have a tula fale, which is a talking chief, which does kind of like more oratory, but they all like work public. Together.
It's like a proper division there. The two chiefs can be.
Yeah, so there's different rankings of chiefs. So I mentioned before, we were talking earlier about how these titles get passed down to the chiefs, and if you look at the title, then people will know kind of where your village is, which family you represent, and then the rank. So usually that's how you know if this person is the high chief or if they're a tula fale. And so this chief is like the custodian of the extended family, and then they're kind of like the mouthpiece. So they speak on behalf of the family and represent the family at different events or ceremonies. But that also is like, he's not like the one that makes the decisions for them, because everyone comes together.
So he's like under, like a vice chief.
So the high chief is like the main guy, but it's like he doesn't make a decision.
He doesn't do the work.
Own. Yeah, or like he does the work, but like not on his own. Because again, remember, it's like community. It's not individualistic. It's very communal. So
it would be a chief of extended family, not of the whole village.
Yeah. So it could be. He could be for the village. I think it depends on the makeup of. But like
how big?
Or like whatever is agreed, I guess. But it's like there will be one main person, but that main person is a part of a wider group or like a team of people that come and discuss, and then he will take it. Like he then becomes a representative, like, okay, this is what the people of my village have said. Or he offers counsel, guidance. He also, I believe, they're responsible for like knowing the genealogy or like the ngafa of the people. So it's like
Ngafa is genealogy.
Ngafa is like your genealogy, yeah.
Do you know your genealogy?
I mean, I could know more. I should learn more.
So, but like when you say he's responsible, what does it mean?
So it's like he would be, because Samoa's a very oral, a very oral traditions, like written language wasn't a thing back then. So a lot of information gets passed down to the younger generations through stories, through like just teaching them. So usually the chief or the Matai has this knowledge, right? So they also pass it down. So it's kind of like also their responsibility to pass it down. But I guess that's also on everyone to share that with the community, right?
Yeah, so basically like chief supposed to kind of know the genealogy, not just of like himself, but like of the extended family he's like chief of, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What, and like young people can, for example, just approach him and ask, or what?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have like, I remember growing up, sometimes you're just sitting there and the older people just start saying stories, and this was like one of my favorite things, was like the stories they tell you could be like myths or legends about different things of like how a coconut tree came to be, or like how the world was created. And it's like I believe it's called Fāgogo, which is like stories they tell, and like, or sitting next to my uncles at like a ceremony and then seeing something happen, and they'll just like turn to you and be like, oh, this guy is doing this thing because, you know, in tradition there was a story, and he explains it all. So that's,
and it's not in books, right? It's just oral tradition.
A lot of it is oral.
Yeah.
So that's how you learn about, you know, your culture, or like the reasons why things are more important.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And that was all in your language.
Yeah, they'll say it in your language.
Uncle and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's amazing that you preserve your language though, because, you know, like a lot of people or like indigenous tribes are like losing their languages and everything. But yeah, I want to clarify actually ask more about oral tradition, oral stories. How does it work in terms of, okay, if you moved out at the age of 15 or 20 and then like you rarely come back, and like that would influence your knowledge, right? Because like you can't Google this.
Yeah, I mean, that's me right now. I've moved away to the other side of the world.
But you've been back, right?
I haven't been back to Samoa since 2017.
All right.
Yes, but I've bought...
But you can WhatsApp your chief, no?
No. I haven't got his number.
But do they have phones, right?
Yeah, they'll have phones.
Do they have like a community chief oral group?
I don't know what's his WhatsApp activity like, if he's great on the WhatsApp. But I mean, I've had discussions recently with like my sister and my mom about, you know, because I've moved all the way here. I'm not surrounded by Samoan people, but like I've always have like a tie. Like I very strongly in myself am like, feel like I am Samoan.
I feel
I'm very proud.
You have strong identity. Yeah,
I have a very strong identity. Like to me, that is home. I was referred to that as home. But like as I'm getting older, and the other thing is too, because it is an oral history, a lot of people are passing away, you know,
exactly,
like elders.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, so it's hard now to get those stories. And I saw my mum and my sister earlier this year on holiday, and I just like talking to my mum and saying, who can I now, I'm thinking about who can I now speak to learn the things about our family, because I am curious. Like I've always been curious, but now I'm like, okay, you need to be
far.
curious and proactive because you're very far. We were just talking about how it can get lost, and you know, sometimes I think it's when you go away, then you feel a stronger.
You feel stronger,
because you realize,
because you like, it's like almost like you pressure it more because you don't have it,
exactly. That's it. Yeah,
that's a good question though, because it's applicable to so many of us, the oral tradition, and I think, that's a good one. And whether like, do you think, I don't even understand like whether, because it's an oral tradition, obviously now everything is digital. Does it have to be like, I feel sort of like it has to be documented, but at the same time, there is a beauty of it, you know, in it being oral. But I guess, I hope not, but I guess our generation is like lazy maybe to do these things orally. I don't know, like
Yeah.
we'd rather like record audio or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, because it sounds very beautiful, and I know there's so many indigenous people have this tradition of oral storytelling and tradition. But I think one of the problems which I'm facing, right, that a lot of us moving and migrating, and like I'm just thinking I can't even ask my dad this, you know, like my dad is not here, but my mom is not very into history, and like this is one of the reasons why I started this project. But yeah, it's just I don't understand how to preserve this. Maybe it's just me asking myself, maybe the question already exists, because I love that oral tradition is oral. But I really don't believe as much in our generation, even though I want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not that we're gonna go every year, meet the community and pass these stories, but even though I want this, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I guess, that's maybe a rhetorical question. Okay. But when you were a child, you remember that you were on some ceremonies and rituals, and they would like just tell you what's going on, and this is how you learn, right?
Yeah, this is how you learn, and then when you're older, you get to participate in like one of the ceremonies. A big thing in Samoa is like the exchanging of gifts, and so for like a funeral, for example, when the person's passed away, the family of the deceased get together, and then they discuss what's going to happen, like, you know, the procession, trying to organize everything. And then the other families, you know, that families are going to be coming with gifts as a sign of alofa or of love, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, here's our gift to you to help you through this hard time. Because so the gifts will be like monetary, which could help with the cost of the funeral. You could also bring food. Sometimes they bring cows or pigs, canned meats. In the modern world.
What?
Canned meat? Like,
you bring canned meat?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
That's a modern twist.
Okay.
And then fine mats, which I think I mentioned before, iatonga, and that's very high value in Samoan culture.
Now we talk about like any sort of celebration or like hard time, or you talk about particular like when someone passed away.
So this could be for any celebration.
Okay.
But like in the
or
case,
hard time, yeah.
Or hard time, yeah. So like it could be for a wedding, could be for a birthday, a graduation, a blessing of a church or a house. So it's just kind of like a
church.
Yeah.
You remember
like
it's Christian.
church.
That's
It's
another
very
question. We're gonna talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. So, for example, you said earlier before we started the podcast that your sister got a mat, and like, what if like is it possible that there is a wedding and no one gives anything, or you have to gift?
I think you have
They
to.
have
gift.
to. It's
'Cause
like
it's not a sign of
it's
alofa
like
if you don't gift. You know?
no alofa,
There's
no culture.
alofa, no.
Okay,
You want the alofa. We
that's-
show the alofa.
That's interesting. Can you share with us one example of traditional ritual or ceremony which is done in Samoan way? It can be wedding or like reaching particular age or whatever, like something like particularly for you.
That's very Samoan.
Yeah.
I would like, the one that comes to mind is the ʻAva ceremony. So ʻAva is a drink that is made from the root of a plant, and the ʻAva ceremony is done to celebrate like the welcoming. They usually do it on welcoming, like to welcome people in.
What do you mean? To
So,
community?
Yeah, or like visitors that come through. So say someone of very high importance, say like the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak goes over to Samoa, and to welcome him they will have this ʻAva ceremony. And the ʻAva ceremony, you would sit in a traditional house, fale, or maybe somewhere else now that's more modern.
It would be in a house.
Yeah, and you have someone prepare the drink in a kava bowl or ʻAva bowl.
Does it look like coconut?
It's made out of it's made out of wood, but then it's made out of coconut. But then the cup is made out of coconut.
All right.
And they use like the coconut to mix the drink. So the drink is mixed. The chief will stand up and say a few words. They will have their foe, which is like a
Beating.
like a whip looking thing. So
Whipping?
terrible. They're not whipping anyone.
Beat yourself?
They're not beating anyone. You could beat Rishi Sunak.
So basically, it's like what you do in sauna, yeah, something like this.
No. So
No?
it's just like a it's like something that he has to signify that he's the chief.
It's like marking, like.
But he just has it on his shoulder. But he's not
right.
gonna do like. I mean, he might do this with it, but
All right.
he's not using it on anyone.
No weeping.
No whipping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And he has his like rod, and he would deliver a speech just to acknowledge who's there, welcome them to the village or to the country, and then they serve the drink. So there'll be a person mixing, and then someone comes up, they get given the cup, and then they like present it to the guest, and then they drink, and like to drink it is like a sign of like, I guess, goodwill, like you're accepting.
You've been accepted.
Yeah.
This is only for high rank people.
I mean, I've been to one, so and I'm not high ranked. So.
Oh.
But I think it's just a sign of, well, they would use it for highly ranked people, but it's a sign of, it's a good gesture to like.
Okay, to welcome.
Like, to welcome
like
people.
A good energy.
Yeah, good energy.
Okay, sounds interesting. Maybe it's a bit dark question, but I want to ask about funeral. I don't know if you've ever been to funerals in the West. Would you say like, do you have specific ceremony in when it comes to funeral, or it's just the same way? I just wonder what is because I'm gonna ask you about religion later, but I just wonder what is a relation to death like in your culture. You know, like for example, we're Buddhist, but there used to be Tengriism, like when Mongols believe that there is a god which is a sky called Tengri, and then like because of the Buddhism and this, we believe in reincarnation and like all these sort of things. But I know that indigenous cultures, they have like sometimes their own, you know.
Yeah.
What is it? I know it's a weird question, but what is it the same as here, or you have particular like ceremonies when it comes to funerals, or you believe that there is like there is a life after death or something like this?
We're very like I've been to a funeral in the West and like been to many Samoan funerals. And I would say that maybe the process is, because Samoan's a very Christian country, like it's got a lot of the ceremony is similar to like a Western funeral. It's like, because you've got the service, you've got the church service. But something that we do also is that you take the body back home with you. So like you will prepare the house and the body comes and stays with you for a couple of days.
Because we do the same, but it's not very like European thing.
I don't think it is. And I guess that might sound creepy, right? To someone
it does, like, I remember because when my brother died, there was a body in a home, and we were sleeping in the same home, you know, like, and I think it sounds really weird.
Yeah, it does.
But it's not weird, right? I mean, like in your culture and in mine, it's similar. Yeah.
I think it's very beautiful because, like it sounds weird, but it's almost like that's like your last time to be with, because to us, like the dead are with us always, or like we cherish our dead because we cherish our people, our family. We love them dearly, so it's like that's your last opportunity to be with them, especially like in funerals. In Samoan funerals, you're very busy all the time, and if you're close to the deceased, like when my father passed away, it was like almost too busy just to stop and take stock of what was happening, you know, because we were just trying to organize stuff. And then
you mean like busy organizing?
Busy organizing and like having people over, and you know, just go, and then but
not having time to process.
But because we had his body at home, and then we get to, like you sleep in the same room, and like it wasn't until the last night that we were just like, okay, now we get to be with him. And I think like when you have the body at home, like it's, you love that person, right? So you just want to be with them and one last time before they go. And the other thing is, in Samoa, we bury our dead on our land, so like your family land. So like outside.
It has to be your family land.
Yeah, because
not like grave cemetery.
There are cemeteries there, but most people like
on their own land.
So my grandparents are buried like just outside our house. Their graves, and it's like your dead are with, like, you know, you're like,
it's because of connection of the land, right?
Yeah, connection of the land too. Yeah, connection to people and the land.
Would you say it's similar, like in Maori culture, like they have this strong connection with land as well?
Oh yeah, very strong connection. Yeah.
Same with you, yeah. What would be the example of you appreciating the land or something like that? Do you have like some sort of traditions connected to that? Apart from like if you die, you buried here.
Yeah. Well, a lot of our stories, like our myths and our legends, they're all like to do with the land. Everyone's tied to, like me, I don't know, I just have this really strong pull to the land. And
you do?
Yeah.
How do you feel it?
I don't know, I just feel like, oh gosh, I need to like...
I'm Googling tickets to go back home. You just feel it, right? Like, I know sometimes, I know what you mean, you can't describe it. I feel it in steps, the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
But Mongols, we're not connected to land like you because we move all the time.
Okay, yeah.
But I have this feeling when I'm in steps and even when I'm thinking about it, I think it's similar.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's home.
Yeah.
Home. You just feel, you breathe, and you're like, this is home. Yeah? Something like this.
As soon as I land, that's always the first thing I want to do. I just want to breathe the air in, and then it's when the plane lands and my feet finally touch the tarmac or whatever, and then like I just get that whiff of air and I'm just like, I'm home, and I just feel very grounded, very secure. And that's my type. But we also have a story that I heard recently was about tattooing. So in Samoa, tattooing is
it's part of a culture as well.
Part of our culture as well. And we have these traditional tattoos which are called the tatau for the men and the malu for the women. And it's like for the men it extends from the rib cage to the knees. Oh, and the women it's from the upper thighs to the knees. And it's very like, it's quite sacred, very important. And so when you get it done, it's done through the traditional method.
It's
which is
the traditional, not like needles.
No needles.
Oh,
no.
How are they going to do that?
I feel like I need to like.
It's painful.
It is painful. So it takes long, and sometimes you have to do it in twos. Like if you're going, then if I was to go get it, then my sister will come with me. Well, I hope she would, and that's your sao. Yeah. Which is your support person, and it's like someone that's sharing the pain with you as you go through the process. And
what is the traditional way exactly? Like was it?
So they would use
like with a stone.
I think it's shark tooth.
Shark tooth. Yeah. Oh my gosh!
So it's like a needle. It's like a piece of wood, and then the shark's tooth.
You have not had it before.
I have not had it. I feel like I need to like really know my culture a bit more and
before you get it.
I feel like it's a lot of responsibility.
All right. You feel like it takes a lot of meaning. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of meaning behind it. And
does anyone in your family have it?
My uncle has it, but not my siblings.
Not done traditional way. Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle got it done a traditional way.
Have you asked him how painful it was?
He would just say it was painful. No, he would probably crack some joke about how he was really tough and like it was nothing. But it's very like it's frowned upon if you don't finish it. You're seen as a coward if you don't finish it.
But it's big as well, right?
It is big.
Like and half of your leg.
It's very detailed as well.
Yeah, because I have Maori tattoo, you know. It's only very small, but it took me like 6 hours. I'll show you now. But it's like, I just love their meaning, and like, it's not even traditional, it's not traditional, you know, because their traditional is particular pattern. Yeah. But I just saw a sign and I liked it, and like the guy drew it for me. Yeah. And like, I feel like a lot of meaning into that, even like only now I'm understanding it, but I remember it was long, but it's just modern way, so I cannot even imagine how painful it would be.
Traditional way.
But I guess like this is what people used to do as well, right?
Yeah, well, people still do it now.
Yeah, of course.
But they were saying...
No, I mean, like, it's like tradition with backs.
Oh, yeah, backs, because there's even, like, myths about how the tattooing came to Samoa. But it's a very old tradition.
Do you know the myths?
Like, not...
But there are myths.
There are myths. I've read them, but I don't...
So they're, like, it came from somewhere, you mean?
Yeah, I believe they... 2 women brought it over from Fiji, is what the myth
Fijian
was.
have the same, yeah? Most of Polynesian have a tattoo thing.
Most of Polynesia have tattoos, but I think Samoa is the only place that does that one. The legs.
Because Maori do face.
Maori, they have... The Maori people have the tamoko. Yeah.
That's the word for tattoo.
On the one on the face.
Do you know the reasons why they would put it on the face?
No, I don't know.
Because I read online that it says, depending on like particular milestone in your life or something like this. Yeah.
So that's the same as the one on the legs for the Samoan. It's like a milestone in your life as well.
Which milestone?
I guess it's just like the transition from like, because usually the chiefs would get it.
Oh,
or
really?
like the women was like the it's kind of like you're coming into maturity.
Oh, right.
So there's
but
no
it's
like
not
set like, oh, you turned 15, you have to get.
But it's not attached to age.
No, not attached to age.
Okay. Do you think you come to that? To maturity?
Maybe, I don't know. I hope I'm mature.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's connected to the age. But do you get like tattoo if you get married or children?
No. So yeah.
So Maori is a bit different, yeah.
Maori, different. Yeah.
There's a tattooing culture.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So let's move forward. Talking about traditions, one more thing, we actually partly discussed it already, but maybe you can clarify. I read as well online that about Matai, it can be or it is connected to maternal descent, particularly in Samoan culture, and that family ties or titles often traced through mother's line. Is that still a thing or is it correct at all?
I'm not sure if it's tied to the maternal line. But it is, the titles of the Matai are passed down through different generations. So each family would have titles that are associated with that family. And then
Matai means chief, yeah?
Matai is the chief, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then when someone becomes a Matai, then they get that title bestowed on them. So a family could have the same names for different, like you could have, say if you have 3 chiefs in your family, they could all have the same title because that's the title from your family.
Because it's like
that's
almost
the family
name,
name. Yeah, that's the family name. And then the other families have different titles, but I'm not sure if that does come from the maternal line.
Okay.
Like, I don't know the origin.
Yeah. Do you know how's your title?
No.
Do you know other people?
I know.
Do you know other people's titles?
I know one. I know my dad had one, and my uncle just recently got it.
Oh, your uncle is a chief?
Yeah. So
you're a respectful girl.
And it is Mulipola.
Is your uncle?
Is my uncle, yeah.
So it means like in your dad's family, that's the title, yeah?
That's the title from their family. One of the titles from their family.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did your uncle have to do to become a chief? Apart from being the wise man?
Yeah.
He's not?
No. He is. I think just the family call on people to step up and represent and like take on that role of...
So they ask him?
Yeah. So there would just be, ask like, who would like, or like maybe sometimes there will be someone who stands out in the family of like, they're showing the qualities that they will one day be able to see us through, and then they'll be like, we want to nominate you to go forward.
Is there a voting, or he just like people offer and you step up?
I think people offer and you step up. I haven't heard of voting.
You sort of like already, you like normally chiefs have like communal support here almost.
Yeah. So, the family will back them. So even that, the whole ceremony is a big thing again. It's like
do you know what the ceremony looks like?
I've never been to one of those ceremonies, but I've seen pictures.
How does it look like?
It's just like meetings in the so like there's a main meeting house in each village. And it's
meeting house, almost like a public place where meetings happen.
Yeah, or like in the village, there'll just be this one big fale, which is like an open house, a traditional house, and then you just know that that's the main house when the village needs to come there or come there. And then, you have ʻAva, the ʻAva ceremony.
Oh, you do it in that place as well?
Yeah, and then you can have the speeches going on, and then, they just bestow the titles, and there's dancing and gift exchange, fine mats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was it, chief before your uncle?
I don't know.
So someone older, or it's not about age, but normally it's someone mature, right?
Yeah. I think it's quite tricky right now because I think some families are finding that because of migration, a lot of, say, like my generation are gonna soon be the ones that need to step up and be.
And there is no one.
And
not no one.
Not
but
no
like,
one.
I guess
but like it's kind of like who's stepping up.
Yeah.
Like
I'm gonna ask about it actually about migration. So now it's like it changed a bit. Yeah. Okay. So we clarified about Matai, and congratulations to your uncle as well. Another clarification. So I read that Samoa means sacred earth or sacred center, and we already discussed about a strong connection to the land. But do you know, or maybe there is a myth? If you don't know, it's fine. I'm just asking curious questions. Do you know why it's called like this? Why it's called Sacred Center?
I don't know. I've never heard of Samoa.
Maybe it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe just a translation of the word.
Yeah. Well, Sa is like sacred.
Ah, so yeah, it's direct translation then.
But then Moa means chicken.
Chicken?
So,
sacred chicken?
So I mean, I'd love for it to mean sacred chicken, but there could be another meaning. Like,
okay.
Again, yeah, I'm not sure. But Samoa is in the center of Polynesia. Like, it's called the heart of Polynesia. So
like a core.
Yeah.
What's called lahar?
The heart of Polynesia.
Heart. Sorry, I thought you said something different. Okay, yeah, makes sense. I was going to actually move to migration, but I didn't clarify about religion. Just one more question. You said that it's a very Christian country a few times, but I guess Christianity came with Western people. Or because it's indigenous people were not Christian, right?
Yeah, the indigenous people were not Christian.
Do you know what they had, like their own thing, or?
They had their own myths and legends, like, there's their own stories of creation, I guess, with every culture or indigenous people. But the Christianity didn't come into Samoa until I think about the 1822 or something like that.
But growing up,
1800s.
Do you remember it was strict? Did you go to church?
Yep.
Like
to
every
church.
week?
Yep.
Are you still Christian?
I mean, I'm Christian. I don't go to church.
Okay.
So I'm like practicing privately.
What is the word for discipline again there?
Usita.
Usita is not there anymore.
It is just at home.
No, I'm joking. So basically, my question actually was, did you feel like strong presence of Christianity and you felt like, oh, you have to go to church and you have to do this and this and this and this? Whilst like when you grow up, you don't feel like that. Because for me, it's different. We were like, when only I moved out from my parents' house after 17, I learned about other religions. Because like mostly just Buddhism and like all Asian people around when I was in school. And then when I faced other religions, I don't have anything wrong with like, I love learning about other cultures and religions. But like, I've just learned there are different ways, they're different. Like someone is more strict, someone is more soft. So my question was just, was it very strict when you growing up? And was it like for like this for everyone? Because for example, when I was in Caribbean, in Grenada, it was like, I felt very strong presence of Christianity.
Yeah.
I'll give you one example. There was something wrong with my eye and we had to go to the doctor on the island. And there's like only one place where you can get an eye doctor. And there was a queue for 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. In the beginning, with doctor coming in 9 a.m. or something, everyone stand up and read a prayer. It was so weird. Like, I've never ever experienced like this before. Is this like something like that or less traditional?
Well, yeah, Samoa is a very God-fearing country. Like, every household goes to church. I mean, back when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, some people are a bit more relaxed, but, yeah, very strict. So, my dad's family are Seventh-day Adventists. My mum's family are Catholic.
What did you say?
Seventh-day Adventist. So it's like another denomination, like
of Christianity.
Of Christianity.
Oh,
yeah.
right, I didn't know.
And so we grew up going to Catholic school, and then in the weekends we would go to Seventh-day Adventist church, and I was just sharing with my housemate. Me and my sister were sharing with her a couple of nights ago about how when we went to Catholic school, like before lunch time. Before the lunch bell rang, we all had to sit down on the mat and then you say a prayer because you're about to eat your lunch. You say thank you for your food. And then you go out, have your lunch. And then when the bell rings, everyone has to line up.
It's in church or in school?
No, this is in school.
Oh, in school?
Yeah, in school, in primary school. And then when the bell rings for the end of lunch, we all came back, we lined up. And then we all went in quietly and we all had to sit back down and say another prayer.
So basically in primary school you prayed before food?
Yeah, before and after food.
All right.
But you also pray in the morning, like when you come in, you're praying because you made it safely to school. When you leave, you say another prayer to pray that you can make it safely home.
Nice.
I mean, it sounds very strict, but
when you're there and everyone is doing it, it probably doesn't sound like it's normal.
And but like even now when I think about it, I'm like, well, it's quite nice that everyone said a prayer for each other to make sure you went home safely, or like to say thank you that my friend made it back to school the next day. And it's like, very thoughtful.
Well, obviously, when you pray especially for others, I think like obviously it's beautiful, but I just wonder whether like there is any presence at all. Do you still pray?
Yeah, I still pray,
Okay, interesting. I just wanted to clarify how's it going there with the religion, but I get it now. So, moving back to the end, maybe, I want to keep talking to you, to be fair.
Yeah, keep talking, I'm not going anywhere.
Because migration, and we already, like, mentioned slightly, you said that young people, I was actually going to ask whether your people are... Because I'm comparing to myself, like talking from my personal experience. I know some Kalmuk people who are concerned about assimilation. Do you know what's assimilation? Like being like spread and mixed with others and like losing our, not identity, but like in 1,000 years we would not exist or something like this. Is there any conversation of this sort of thing? Or you, Samoan people tend to like marry each other and like keep your culture and identity, and no one is thinking like, oh, don't mix with each other and things like this. Because this natural process of migration consequence.
Personally, there was a time when I thought, oh gosh, is our culture going to become too westernized? Or like, because I was thinking about capitalism and all this stuff. Like,
because of work?
Because of work, because of life. It just made me like
everyday life.
Everyday life. But also because like I moved to the UK, and then I was thinking of like, and then so many people move away, and like, you know, is it going to dilute our culture, and are we going to lose it? But in kind of like think like when you approached me about this interview, and I was kind of reading more into, you know, my culture because I wanted to brush up on it, and also like talking to my mum, I realized that like there's been a history of this with Samoan people, like when it was occupied by Germany and New Zealand, like as part of the British, that there were these movements of resistance because the Faʻa Sāmoa had already been established, right? Like the Samoan way of life, of operating our values
was established, and someone like tried to like question it in a
so like
soft way.
In a very gentle way. So because it was already established that when these other people or colonies came in, and you know, the moment that the Samoans felt like, oh wait, they're not honoring our way, you know, they're trying to change us, like, and we're not going to stand for that. So they've had these movements created, you know, these resistances within the villages or within the country to oppose these people and push them out, which is, you know, is a big part of Samoan history, and, you know, that led to our independence. And so, like, I may have thought before, like, I was worried about Samoa being assimilated, but I was then, like, now I'm like, no, I'm quite proud. Yeah, our Faʻa Sāmoa is strong. Our people are very strong and very passionate about the culture. We can intermarry, and then, like, because for me, I'm
still preserve
exactly.
it,
I'm like, I don't care. Oh, my kids are gonna be Samoan if I have them. Like, you know, like it's part of me. Like,
definitely, I'm thinking the same. You know, like if I'm gonna have like mixed, when I'm gonna have children or whatever, like even if they're not gonna be Kalmuk 100%, most likely they're not gonna be Kalmuk, and I'm like, still Kalmuk. Like, you know, because it's me, it's my identity, and like I feel like the podcast helps me to learn more about my culture as well. Like, and I'm not pretending I'm a historian. I'm like learning along the way, and even when I did interview with Kalmuk woman, like I didn't know a lot of these things, and like this is for me the way of learning, and I really resonate with you because I think it depends on people. Obviously, I think some people feel like less strong about this, like they question more, maybe some others more strong like you, and like it definitely all depends on people. I agree with you, and we're probably not gonna see what happened in 1,000 years, but it's maybe just not. it was a question. Okay, so just few more questions then. Migration, how is it a recent trend, or the Samoans were always moving to different islands?
I think Samoans, well, this is, have you seen Moana?
Yeah, it's a Samoa, right?
Well, it's based on all the
Polynesian.
islands, like Polynesia. So it's like
Polynesian.
a bit of every island,
Yeah.
and but it's just like the line from there is like, "We were voyagers." Like that's the line she says. So I'm just like in my head, it's hard to find another line that means
You are the voyagers.
But we are
right?
voyagers.
Like-
Our people traveled they navigated the waters and like.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
you originated from the islands.
Southeast Asia apparently is what.
Oh, you came from Southeast Asia.
Yeah, is what
Okay.
I think majority of the studies have found.
Those are like eastern parts. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they've just like traveled by canoe,
Settled
and
on
just
these
moved
small
around
islands,
and
yeah.
found the islands.
Officially originated from Southeast Asia and then settled down on the islanders. Yeah, you are the voyagers, so I guess it's natural process to like move to Fiji or to New Zealand.
Yeah, like even
New
among the
Zealand and
islands, like there are stories of like Samoans frequently visiting Tonga to help them out, and Tonga coming over, but then like I guess in terms of modern day migration, like a lot of Samoans moved to New Zealand for work. Like my parents, they were both born and raised in Samoa, and then they both moved to New Zealand.
But that's
with
just
their families.
economical press.
Yeah, so it's I guess common with a lot of
Reasons, yeah.
people, right? It's like land of milk and honey,
Yeah.
grass is greener, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
But if we talk about further migration, like let's say to the west, like you, is it common or it's not very common?
I think it maybe not. I don't know how to answer that because there's not a lot of us.
Yeah.
You don't expect to see a lot of people, but there are quite a few Samoans here in the UK and in Europe, like just doing their thing. Like,
But not like thousands.
not thousands.
Hundreds.
Maybe we can just make 1,000, but
Not like thousands here, thousands here.
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Talking about migration, and we also slightly discussed it and mentioned how the situation is now with. I know that there is a climate change, and I'm like nowhere near environmental activists. I was just fined for littering 2 weeks ago, but I know that it is a big problem for a lot of islanders, Pacific Islands, particularly in Polynesian islands, that there is a climate change, particularly like water. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm phrasing it wrong. There is a water climate change. It is correct, like sea levels rising and that the islands are sinking. Is it something common for Samoa or it's common for some other like Pacific Islanders? Because I know that it is very big thing for Pacific Islanders because I've been following one like photojournalists for like few years and he's still doing this big project and they literally the islands are sinking and like it's crazy. One thing is when you have a land and there is like the level are up and down, but the other thing is like when you land sinking, it's like no home,
Yeah.
Is it something which happens in Samoa or it's more typical for other islands?
I think it's happening to all the islands. Like I guess climate change is affecting everyone, but the rate that it's affecting the Pacific Islands or just any smaller nations is more severe because. So for the example of Samoa, it's a low-lying island. 70% of its population or like...
What does it mean low-lying?
Like, just like...
No mountains?
No, it's mountainous. But like, majority of its cities and people are in the low-lying land. So like
settled on a low line.
Yeah,
okay,
and then like...
Not like on a high peak.
But like, you compare the UK and Samoa. Samoa's gonna sink first because it's smaller and it's I guess it's going to scientific stuff that I can't go into, but it's like low lying because like in terms of where it sits in relation to the sea.
Even if they were the same place, Samoa would sink faster.
Yeah, Samoa would sink faster because it's closer to the sea level than like the UK. You say, so it's a concern and like it's very sad because it's something that's like it worries me a lot and because like I am like that's my home and like I can't imagine like maybe not in my lifetime.
Obviously,
like,
it's not. It takes
gone.
time,
It's
but
take time.
but I guess you can if you mention that you can see something is going on now, right?
Yeah.
Can you already see something?
Yeah, the like it's changed like not only sinking but just the climate and the way it affects because. Like now in the UK, like it's so cold or summer's just too hot you know, like it's weird, and you hear a lot of people say things like, "Oh, it wasn't like this before," and then, but because climate change is affecting everyone, and like Samoa is, they get cyclones down there. So say like now the cyclones are becoming more frequent, more
and
severe.
they're like severe,
so
people die, yeah?
Exactly. So it's like damaging the land, and you know, so that's like another impact. So there's kind of like all these knock-on effects. It's very layered, a lot of issues. You know, it's just the islands are getting impacted the most, but they also contribute the least to climate change, because you know it's like industrialization,
people,
people. Whereas like the islands are like, well, we don't have oil drilling or mining on that kind of thing.
Is it correct that this particularly sinking climate change with connected to water is happening for not just because of the people, but also like it's a natural process, or it's mostly people damage, people affect?
Yeah, it's like the impact. It's like it's a knock-on effect of like caused by people, and like, you know, people saying things like, we need electric cars so we're not emitting things into the atmosphere, or we need to, you know, like look after our oceans and not overfish. And it's just like people have just been a bit greedy and like just take and like just doing whatever they want, but like not thinking, oh shit, we need to slow down a bit, because you know there's also like the rainforests in the Amazon, like, you know, those people are affected as well. And it's just I guess my concern is because my island, or the islands, or any island in the South Pacific or anywhere really, just small, and they're on the front line.
They're gonna be first victim,
and there's already countries that have, what are they called? They're called climate refugees. Where like land has been purchased in other countries to relocate. And I was reading something recently where they were talking about, you know, this was a Samoan journalist, and she wrote something about, she gave birth to her child in Samoa, her daughter, and like whanua means land in Samoan, and whanua is also, I think it means like the umbilical cord. No, it means placenta as well. So in traditionally, when you give birth, you bury the umbilical cord in the land, and that's you know, planting yourself in the land.
Nice.
So you are part of the land, the land is part of you, and you carry that. And then she was saying, you know, like just thinking of that land no longer being there, like, but that's your connection. And also, I think I mentioned when we were talking about funerals, like how we bury our dead by our houses, and you know, she also mentioned having to relocate those bones, because how do you move, like, you know, if you were to think about having to leave Samoa because it's sinking, it's like you want to take your dead with you, because that's, you know, that's,
it's not possible though, is it possible?
I don't know, but it's like that thing again of like, that's your connection to the land.
I get it. It's like you're getting disconnected almost.
But like it can go. And
I like the thing about umbilical cord. Obviously, like I like the burying thing as well. But umbilical cord is just so beautiful. I've never thought about it. I should do the same, maybe.
I mean, I don't know where my umbilical cord went, but
But like, I agree. I understand like the concern. It's almost like spiritual concern, right? It's not just okay, there is like land, it's going away. It's like, because you're connected to it, I guess, like on all levels, right? Because if you bury people there, if you bury umbilical cord and things like that, it's crazy. You know, actually talking about burying, I was in Caribbean in Grenada, and there I've seen first time these things are sinking. So they have cemetery, which was on the coast. I guess a few years ago it was not a coastline, but I'll send you after the interview. I have one picture on my Instagram. I think I've sent you already. They're like literally, there is a cemetery, the graveyards, and they're like being like washed away already. Like some of them already, like, you know, under the waves, and I was thinking, and no one was doing anything about that, and it's understandable because it was like a small island of 2,000-3,000 people. I doubt the government would really like have resources to like, you know, to do all these things. but it just looks really sad. I mean, obviously there is many sad things going on in the world.
Yeah.
But if we talk about this particular problem, I was just shocked. Obviously in Russia, I've seen already, like, you know, dirty, disorganized cemeteries or like abandoned cemeteries and things like that. But those were like literally sinking, and it was painful to look at it.
Yeah.
Because we were like researching and working there, and like no one really, it looked like no one cares. And I tried to Google, and there was nothing close to like activist movements, or maybe I Googled not really properly.
Yeah.
That sounds sad, and I doubt that we would really like notice it even in next 20 years, I thinking. But I think it's a long process, but which definitely happens. Do you think there are any ways people can improve the situation?
Yeah, eat fossil fuels.
Don't consume, no oil.
Yeah, no oil. No oil money. There is a huge group of young Pacific Islanders who are campaigning.
Oh, really?
They're very strong, and it's just so heartbreaking because I guess also with the situation of the world right now, like you can see with like the things going on in Palestine, and you just kind of seeing how I don't want to go into it but like it's like the motivations of people, and like you kind of see where you thought the world would care, right? And it's not showing that it cares. And that's kind of like a similar thing with the whole climate change, because the COP28, like the agreement that came out of it, just did not consider the Pacific Islands, like, and we're still on the back foot now because I don't know, the economic motivations of like people are just like more important, and it's just heartbreaking because I'm like, that's my home, that's my people, and not just Samoa, but like everyone in that area, and you know they're just screaming for like help, and
it's not being heard.
It's not being, or like it's being ignored, you know. Like it's not being considered, and it's just amazing how little someone or people can care for. I don't know. It's just like,
I get
it's
it.
Also
because it does look like the problem which wouldn't just be resolved by like 100,000 people. Like, I mean, like it does sound like the bigger things have to be taken into account too.
Yeah.
I don't even know what, but just at least like talking about it, and I don't know. I'm happy that there is someone who actually raising awareness, because there are like so many issues in the world which we don't, obviously even you and me, I think we cannot care about particular things, and it would be like selfish of us, but there's just like so many things. But when it comes to your particular culture, and I can feel you, I know what you mean. I get it. But it's good that someone is at least campaigning, or like you acknowledge that, you know, you research and you read. But like, obviously always better things can be done. I just wanted to ask you one more question. Few. So this one, maybe you disagree, maybe you have nothing to comment, but I still ask. Do you think there are any misrepresentation in mainstream media about Samoan people or like Polynesian culture in general? And if there are some, so what would it be?
I don't know. I don't think they're...
I only know Moana.
See that? I think that's what everyone... That's the only one that everyone says.
Me, I know about like Maori. I've been reading about them. I know, I was joking about that. But like, and then like from some like journalistic articles and reportage from this climate change, his project it's Vlad Sokhin is like amazing Russian photo documentary journalist, and I've been following him like for 5 years or something like this. From him, I learned about Pacific Islanders problem, and then like I've started reading about that, and then obviously like always research about people from different tribes and cultures, and I was just reading when I was younger how people are different color of like, because for us we don't know, you know, like when I was a child I thought Australian people are white people, like I didn't know about genocide, I didn't know about like all these indigenous people killing and massacre and everything. Only when I started speaking English, actually more resources became open to me, you know, like more information, and from that I learned that Polynesia, there's so many black people, you know, Australia, there's so many black people, like, because I didn't know this all when I was existing in like Russian medium. So for me, I know like just from my own research that I know, I knew about climate change, and I knew that the people are like sort of different color, you know, like not just like you looking, like you earlier said that Fiji people would be more darker and things like that. I only know that, but there is no misrepresentation, or there are some. Have you ever felt like that?
Because we're so small, I feel like there's not a lot of media out there about us.
Yeah, at all.
But like say if I was to think of New Zealand, like representation of,
it's more covered. Yeah,
it's more covered, but also like, I don't know, maybe we'll occasionally be displayed as like being lazy or like you know, just like a brown representation. But then
what you mean when you mean Samoa,
or just like Pacific Islanders, or like, but I think we're also like portrayed as being very like kicked back, very funny, like laid back people, like easygoing, funny, or like big and strong. Like, do you know The Rock?
Yeah.
So
Dwayne.
Yeah, Dwayne. So
he's Polynesian.
Yeah, he's Samoan.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, wait, no, he's half.
Half. Because he looks like, I never properly Googled it. I just know that he was like Moana. I knew he Polynesian, but I didn't know which, because I know the different.
Different, yeah.
And I think he's hardworking, huh?
Yeah. So I think like there's like hardworking, there's I guess like that we're big people, we eat a lot. But also there's so much content that's being created by young Pacific Islanders that like kind of taking the narrative into their own hands kind of thing, like, you know,
because of the social media and online.
Or like creating movies. Like I have a friend who, her and her brother like write and direct films, like they've made
local indigenous
a couple movies about like, you know, represent the different versions of a Pacific Islander or a Samoan, which is like, I'll send you recommendations. But like, cool. There's a lot of young people out there who are just like either teaching about the cultures or like giving more in-depth view of like.
So you'd say like now people like younger generation would just take the narrative, whether like because of the internet we can just do ourselves, but previously it would be like we would be represented on TV or something like this. Yeah,
you'll be represented on
different.
TV. A bit different, but like also I think because like you didn't know what a Polynesian was for a while, so like
especially when I didn't speak English,
so like we weren't really in media, I don't think, like, you know, so
yeah. I mean, like you mentioned another few islands, I didn't know about them. Not Tonga, Fiji, I know, but there's another one,
Cook Islands.
This one I didn't know. You see, and I think I know something. I mean, like in terms of like indigenous, I feel like I don't know anything, definitely. And one more question connected to this topic as well. Whilst I understand you live here now, I want to ask you about Samoa again. Do you feel, or if there is at all, like Western presence, how do you say it and don't sound racist? Like some islands and some like small countries and indigenous countries or like small islands, they are very westernized. So would you say Samoa westernized or not at all, or to some extent? Because I noticed that almost everything is westernized.
They're everywhere.
If someone travels there, would you say it's quite an authentic place, or you go and have McDonald's there? You still can be authentic with McDonald's, but do you know what I mean? Like it's very like capitalized. Is it correct to say westernized?
It is. There's Western influence there. I mean, when you go to Samoa, there is a McDonald's there, but Samoa is you still get an authentic experience when you go there because, like I said, the Faʻa Sāmoa, the Samoan way is like
present.
That is very prevalent.
I really want to go there.
So you would get like, I mean, say if you were to go there as like you've never been to Pacific Island, you know, sometimes when I travel or like when I think of going somewhere, I'm like, am I going to be able to communicate with people? Am I going to be able to navigate it all right? And like to go to, like if you were to go to Samoa, you never heard about it before, you don't speak Samoan, you will be fine going there because you will, one, get the commodities of the Western world, but also you won't feel like you're just in another Western country because Samoans are there. People dress in like traditional wear and like they serve you. You can get traditional food, and so you can get an experience. You can experience both. But I think the way that Western culture is in Samoa is that like the Faʻa Sāmoa is like very big that it's managed to integrate into like kind of similar to like religion came in. We talked about.
So you like it just has such a strong influence, the Faʻa Sāmoa, Samoan way that it wouldn't be suppressed. Let's say.
Yeah, that's
it's
it.
like
yeah.
it would always suppress.
It's
like,
always
the,
it's
the
always
Samoan,
gonna come up. Yeah.
Come first. Okay, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
Interesting. Nice. I understood. That's a good answer actually. And the last question I want to ask you: what advice would you give to people on how they can embrace and preserve their like own origin and country, regardless their location?
I think it's scratching that itch, like you you kind of like you're a little bit curious, right? And then I think just go for it. Just like read and like talk about it, or like find community. I think that's very important. Like for me being here, like I think I mentioned before, like I feel very Samoan, but like even though I'm very far away, and like I've been buying books, and like the conversations I have with like my mom, sometimes I'll be like, oh, do you know this word? Like I was just thinking about the Samoan word and I didn't notice that it actually, and then we could just like talk about a word or something, like what it means, or like even talking to my siblings and about our language, or like bringing up, we spoke about Samoa being an oral language, but I think a lot more of the generation that's coming up, or maybe the generation just before me, are like writing things down or documenting it, so the resources are there. And I used to think Samoa is such a tiny island, it's so far away, even the internet can't tap it, I'm not going to find anything, but I'm finding that there's so much information there. And so I think for anyone who wants to preserve, I think you would feel like if you want to preserve it, and I think if you get like a tiny inkling that that's what you're interested in, like just go. And like I just think like this thing that you've created, like you said, you wanted to learn about Kama people, your heritage a bit more, but you're also like reaching out to other people and like learning about other cultures. I think even in doing that, it makes you
it makes me learn more about myself,
about yourself. So I think
because like we learn through others, but then like I'm talking to you and thinking, oh, how it is in my culture, like we have similarities or differences, like definitely I find it even more helpful, if I was just doing only about my culture, because like when I talk about other cultures, it's like almost like I'm learning with a different like force or angles, like it's just it feels differently. It feels differently.
It gives you another perspective of your own culture, but also like how I came to meet you is through Sasha, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And like that came from a conversation that we were just sharing, like getting to know each other, but like sharing little bits of our own culture. And that was just in conversation, like just passing conversation, right? We were just talking about whatever, and then it just so happened that we started talking about that too, and then
I met her at like a random event.
She met you, and then she was like, I met this girl and I just thought of you and you need to go talk to her. And it's like,
she was like, oh, I know one Polynesian girl. I was like, okay, someone. I was like, give me her contact. That was amazing. It was beautiful. Okay, thank you. I love your answer, and we should wrap up now, even though like I didn't even notice the time went so quick. I really loved our conversation, and I feel very like inspired, even like I don't know, I it's a good energy, it's all good energy, but I knew we're gonna have a good time and good insights and conversation. But I'm just really grateful for your time and for this conversation, and I hope you had a good time as well. And after each interview I feel like I have to learn more, and I love your energy, and I feel like I do feel you're someone, Faʻa Sāmoa. I do feel that from you, so I think it's beautiful that you maintain it and you're proud to carry yourself as a Samoan person. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And bye everyone, and I see you soon.
صاحب جمال هم كريف عبد الله أرلشلر دارزة أرتندا صاحب جمال تزدان كيتر وفاغا ألطي البار أله انقلب قا غبد الغزيز هم خاتن رابغا اشرش دلار رحمة تياترغا أنتي سيخزنا